Hi everyone and welcome to our webinar this morning, Measuring Your Online Success. I'm Jane. I'm going to show you some of the ways that you can use some of the free tools for digital marketing in order to measure how you're going online and whether your efforts are successful or not. Just before we get started, can I just check, can everyone hear me okay? If you can hear me, can you please just raise your hand? There's a little hand icon in your control panel. So if you could just click on that to let me know that the volume is okay for you. 2 hands gone up. Any more? Oh yeah, a couple more. Any more hands? Okay, that's looking fine. Great. Thanks everyone. If you do find you are having trouble, the volume occasionally fluctuates, just let me know and I will do my best to fix it. Okay, let's get started. So I have muted everyone except for myself, obviously, so that you won't get everyone's background noise. However, if you do have a question, that's fine. Just type it in the question panel. You should have a type message here bit with question instead of chat at the top in your control panel. So just type that and send it to me, and I will pick it up here, and I will do my best to answer it as we go during the webinar. If I don't get to you though, don't worry, I promise I will if you can stay on for a few minutes at the end, or I will contact you this afternoon because we have your contact details with the answer to your question, hopefully. And you might want to just grab a pen and paper because I do go through quite a bit and sometimes people like to jot things down. That's up to you. Okay, let's get started. So why do we measure things? Why measure things at all? Well, the reason why we measure in digital, eons ago when I was working in non-digital marketing, which is an awfully long time ago, my chairman used to say to me, 80% of every advertising dollar is wasted, but you never know which 80%. And so it used to frustrate me to death. This was pre-digital. And one of the reasons I joined digital is that, of course, you can measure now how your advertising spend and your resourcing efforts go through tracking campaigns that you do, or email or social media or your website analytics or all those kind of things. You can actually see now what is being wasted and what is being used well and what is working and what is not working. And if you know what's working and you know what's not working, obviously you can stop spending your time and money on things that don't work and start to increase your resources on things that do, so therefore get more efficient with your marketing. So at the end of the day, you will get more, and we're probably all on limited budgets, I would think, and have limited time. Many of us probably owner-operators or, have limited staff. So you want to be the most efficient you can with your time and money. So if you measure what you're doing, then you will have some really good clues as to how to get better results and therefore become more efficient with your resources. Put simply, we love data. Use your digital measurement data to help you spend less time and money getting more customers, in a nutshell. So what sorts of things can you measure? You can actually measure pretty much everything online. You can measure the traffic to your website, who's coming, what they're doing on your site, if there were problem pages or problem fields in your form or whatever where they are leaving that you need to fix. You can measure if they can find their way in your site. You can measure revenue from your site. You can measure where your traffic is coming from. Everything to do with your website pretty much you can measure, apart from people's names. And then when we get to social media, you can measure things like what conversations are happening about your business or your industry or your location and what people like about it. So you can see what people are saying about all those things online. And obviously if you're informed about this stuff, then you can tailor your messaging to be more effective and to reach these people. Or if it's clear that there are complaints going on, then you can answer the complaints, and if they're legitimate, fix the problem. So social media, you can measure conversations. Email, obviously you can measure how successful, if you sent out an email newsletter or an email marketing campaign, how that went, if people opened it, if they did anything with it. Similarly with advertising, if you do any AdWords advertising, the pay-per-click Google one, that is quite cost effective to do usually. You can see how many times your ad was served, so you can see if your keyword choices were successful, and you can see how many people clicked on your ad, and of the people that clicked you can see how many people actually bought something, made a booking, booked a room or a tour or whatever you have available. AdWords measurement can also be very effective in telling you how effective your advertising is. So I've just had a message come through from GoToWebinar that the volume is degraded. Is everyone still okay to hear me? Sorry, I don't want to fuss about this, but still okay? Okay, great, I'll carry on. Good. Distracting when the technology gets you. Okay, so we can measure anything online pretty much. If you can't measure it, they'll be building it soon. So Google Analytics. Some of the things that we can measure with our site analytics. If you don't have Google Analytics, I would strongly recommend that you get them because it's free and it's a real no-brainer. It can give you so much valuable information about your website, which is, of course, your main selling tool. So you can measure things like visits, so how many new people are coming versus how many people are returning. And obviously, we want returning to be as high as possible because new is quite expensive to keep getting new people all the time. If you can hang on to people and get them to come back, it's much cheaper. We can measure page views, how many pages they looked at. We can measure how much time they're spending on the pages on your site. We can measure how many people, how many actual IP addresses came to your site, how many what we call unique visitors, so how many people are visiting your site, and if that's going up, that's probably a good thing because it means you're getting more attention to your site and therefore potentially more customers. We can measure where your website traffic is coming from. We can measure something called a bounce rate, which is the people that come to your site and leave without doing anything at all, and the exit page, which is the last page they left your site from. I'll go through this in a bit more detail, so if you're frantically scribbling notes, don't panic. I will go through this in detail and let you know how each of them is significant to your marketing efforts, but just to introduce the concept at the moment. For Google AdWords, if you do AdWords campaigns, AdWords, if you're not familiar with it, is the little text ads normally across the top and down the side of a search engine result page. If you do a search in Google, you can see there's text ads at the top and sometimes down the side as well. Well, that's what I mean by AdWords. So you can measure impressions, so how many times your ad was actually served up and hopefully seen by people. You can measure clicks on your ad, how many people clicked. You can measure conversions of the people that clicked, how many actually did something, like bought something or filled in an inquiry form or whatever your conversion goal is. You can measure that as a rate of the people that clicked through, how many converted. You can measure how much each click cost you. And obviously, if you know how much each click is costing you, you can try and get that cost down because, as you know, Google AdWords is kind of an auction and it's never a fixed price. So if you know what it's costing you, you can, and if you're an enthusiast in this area, you can kind of tweak your ads, tweak your keywords, tweak your budget and try and get that cost per click down, that CPC. And that means, of course, you can measure your return on investment of the money that I spent on this campaign. How many conversions did I get? How's it going? Am I getting my money's worth? Am I getting my money back? Is it worth it? So that's Google AdWords, and then normal advertising, display advertising, and emails. You can measure things like emails that actually made it into someone's inbox, because some of them don't. They go to junk or they just disappear into the ether. So how many emails were delivered? And you can measure ad impressions, how many display ads were served, again, similar to AdWords. You can measure, again, the click-through rate, so either on your email or on your ad, how many people clicked on something, and of those people that clicked, how many converted. Did what I wanted them to. You can measure things like open rates on your email. Sent an email out, say, to my database of 5,000 people, and of those 5,000 people, 500 opened it, so you can measure that as a percentage. That's called your open rate. How much it costs you for the placement and how much it costs you to send the emails out. So these are all very useful measures because they show you how successful you're being in your efforts, and obviously if you know what works, you can do more of the same. If it's not working, you can try something else. Or improve it incrementally. With social media, Facebook, Twitter, and blogs and many other things, you can measure things like shares and likes, obviously, shares, likes, and comments. You can measure subscribers to your blog. So if you put out a particular post, got a lot of subscribers, that'll tell you it was quite successful and people like that, so maybe you could do more of the same. You can measure followers. You can measure retweets, how many people took your tweet and retweeted it, which means it's kind of successful. You can measure comments, obviously, and links to your website from these social media outlets. So heaps of things that you can measure, even in these basic things. What else can we measure? Google Trends is a little tool I'm going to show you today that I hope you'll find useful, and it's really useful if you are starting off a search, either search engine optimization or search engine marketing, the free one or the paid one, to help you compare search terms and have a look at trends. You can do by locality, and it can also help to suggest keywords for you if you're not sure where to start. Social mention is another one. One example of a free social media tool where you can follow conversations about your brand, your industry, your product and your location. You can measure sentiment, whether people are happy or unhappy with this particular conversation. And you can find what we call key influencers or tastemakers, and a little bit more on that when I show you the actual tool. And I'm just going to, for a bit of fun, show you Wordle as well, which I quite like because it helps you to analyse your copy for search engine optimization to see if you've written it with enough keywords in it. So first of all, let's have a look at Google Analytics. I know we do Google Analytics in other modules, but it's so important that I thought I'd start with it and spend a bit of time on it too. If you're not familiar with it, you can find out basically with analytics where your visitors are coming from and what they're doing and not doing on your site and social media, which at the end of the day means better ROI on your marketing. So you can see if they're coming to your site and where from, you can see what pages they're looking at, you can see if they're dropping off at your booking form, for example, in which case you can look at your booking form and try and find out why and fix it up. Heaps of things. So here's an example of the dashboard, and this particular site for the last period of time, let's say it's a month, got nearly 50,000 visits, 45,000 unique visits. So this is kind of people on multiple screens. This is actual people, theoretically. Of those, we got about 80,000 page views, about a minute and a half spent on site. Bounce rate, this is the thing I'd be worried about with this one. Most of this is pretty good, especially if it's kind of going up. This is what you want. Anything over about 40% site bounce rate is a bit of a worry because it means people are coming to your site and leaving without doing anything. And of course you've spent all this time and effort and probably money trying to get people to your site. You don't want them to leave unless, you don't want them to leave basically without at least making an inquiry, getting in touch with you, hopefully booking something, buying something, whatever. So I would be, if I was the owner of this site, I'd be having a look at the individual pages' bounce rates, seeing if there's a page that is higher than all the rest or which pages are higher than about 40 or 45% bounce rate, and trying to figure out what was wrong with that page, including what was the information I used to send them there. Is it the same? Can they find it? The other thing to note with this one, here's my new versus returning. So we've got about 90% new visitors. So we want to kind of get that down and this up because it's going to be costing us a lot of money to get all these new visitors. So what I recommend for this site as well is to try and hang on to these people and try and get them to come back, maybe by email, maybe by encouraging them to join your social media, some strategies, maybe just by, keeping in touch with them in some way or another that they're happy with. But try and get people to come back, maybe by regular blog posts, regular specials, that sort of thing, rather than always going for new people, because it's very expensive to get new people all the time. It's much cheaper to hang on to these people and try and get them to spend more with you over time. We can also tell things like what language. So if you have, for example, a lot of Chinese visitors, there might be an argument for a Chinese version of your site or page or whatever. You can see what operating system and browser people are using, which is helpful in making sure your site works for everybody that's likely to come and visit it. Make sure that your developers have built it to work in all of the browsers that are listed on your analytics. And language again. Okay, just a quick question. Yes, there is, Amanda. There is a way to block your own IP address, but it varies from machine to machine. It does count your visits. We just had a question regarding analytics. Is there a way to block your own IP address to ensure your personal visits aren't being counted? It's a very good question because you don't want your own visits to the site to skew your traffic, obviously. You can do it, but I'll have to look it up and email it to you. If anybody else wants the answer to that question, just quickly type in yes for me and I'll make sure that you all get it this afternoon because it varies on different machines and in different situations, and it's a while since I read this, but it is possible to do. Okay, so one yes. Anyone else wants the answer to that question? Can you block your own IP? Oh, lots of people do. Okay, I better send it to everyone. No worries. Just bear with me a sec while I get rid of my question. Okay. Cool. Yep. Okay, so that's analytics. So if you haven't got it, it's not hard. You just need to go to analyticsgoogle.com. If you can't find it, Google it. I always recommend that with Google because they change all the time where they host things. And you just need to, if you've got a Gmail account, log in with it or set one up. That's not hard and that's free as well. You just need to nominate username and password. Gives you an email address, log in with that. And then follow the prompts, which again are easy to do. And it will then generate a piece of code that just looks like a strange set of numbers and letters. Select it as you would to copy and paste anything. Copy and paste into pages on your website. Usually usually into the footer so that it meets all of your, encompasses all of your pages. Yep. So not hard to do. And once you've got your analytics set up, you can pretty much straight away start measuring your site. So this is basically what it looks like. You just go through here, tracking code. We just blocked this out because it's a private site. What are you tracking? A single domain, paste, and this is what the code looks like. Okay, so it's just this kind of paragraph of strange text. Make sure you copy it all from where it says script to where it says script and the little bit there. Don't miss anything out. Put that in your site and away you go. And you can start measuring your traffic. So really good. So yes, I've talked about the bounce rate, I've talked about the new versus returning, the languages, the browser, the operating system. Massive more amount of data. This is just a very quick dashboard, and as you go you'll learn more. We can always help you if you're stuck, but Google itself has a huge number of really good training videos, short ones like a minute or so, and they are very helpful and will kind of talk you through kind of Analytics 101 if you're not familiar with it. Other things you can get, there's you can see where your traffic is coming from. For this particular site, it's all coming from Brisbane. It's a locally based one, which is good because that's what I wanted. And it even gives you the city, so that's really helpful. You can get this, the state, the country worldwide. I've got one or two from America and some from Australia. Then you can get the state, then you can actually drill down to the city, mostly capital cities, but as you see a couple of regions as well. So that's again useful information. You could, for example, put a little special out in that area, or just have your advertising in the one city if you're targeting, or if you're not getting visitors from a city and you want to, you know, you need to ramp it up a bit there. So that's useful information too. Other things, where's my traffic coming from? So most of it from search, some of it from referring sites, so I've got links in here, and some of it people typing in the URL directly. So again, this is up to you and what your digital strategy is as to whether you want to increase this or increase this. I'd probably be looking for a bit more of this, because backlinks into your site, from everything I read, can really help you with your search engine optimization. So I'll be looking for more referral traffic, which will push this down a bit, but don't panic if that happens. As you can see, these are all the referrals for this site. So it's got some from organic, some from before it's new, some from Google, some from Yahoo, some from Bing, some from Facebook, etc. Yeah, so that's where your traffic's coming from. You can also show you things like how many people are looking at your site on a mobile device. At the moment, this one is mostly desktop, 78% desktop, but if this starts to increase, and it probably will, then over time you can monitor that, and you know, when it gets to a substantial amount of your traffic, if you haven't already done so, and I would recommend you do, optimize your site for a smartphone or tablet screen size, and or build a mobile site. However you want to tackle this is up to you, but one way or another, take account of mobile, both with your site and your advertising. Another question. Bear with me a sec. Nope. I've answered it. Okay. So yes, mobile is the big kind of one of the big growth areas in digital. So if you haven't already considered that, I would have a look at your analytics and see how the traffic's going maybe over the past 3 to 6 months. See if it's going up from mobile devices. I would suspect it is, and think about what you want to do with your site going forward if you haven't already done so. Yeah, so this particular site is clearly Apple tragic, so visiting this site. We've got, you know, a huge amount of iPhone, iPad. There's all our visits from there, as opposed to iPod Touch as well, as opposed to Android platform devices here. So there may be an opportunity here to, e.g., if you're thinking of doing an app, produce an app for the Apple platform and consider the Android one later. So again, it can tell you what kind of devices, which is quite interesting. One of the other things I really like is what's called customer flow, and you can set this up in your analytics, and what it shows you is people moving through your site. So this is, they start at my home page. If it's red, that's where they're dropping off. Okay, so they go start at organic search and they come to home, and from here they go to my menu and location and my contact and my friends and my home, and from there they go back to home. So this is a little bit problematic here because a lot of people are dropping off after menu and they're going home, menu, home, which is a bit of a worry, which suggests to me that they can't find what they're looking for if they're having to go back to the home page. Doesn't definitely mean that, and if you're getting something like this, the next thing I would do is test it with that and not panic and kind of change it all around, get some evidence first. But what I'm looking at here is what paths people taking through my site. Are they going where I'd like them to and expect them to? Ideally, you'd want them to go home, information about your product, booking, thank you, booking or inquiry form, thank you, in that kind of order. If that's not happening, or if a lot of it is dropping off at one of these stages, then again you might want to have a look at your page and try and work out what is stopping them from taking the next step. Have you not got enough calls to action? Is it too confusing? Have you got too much information? Is the page too hard to read? I don't know. Is it information below the bottom of the screen, below the fold? Have a look at where they're falling off and think, how can I improve this page? There are tools that you can use to test this as well, which I'm happy to mention later on. I haven't got it in this preso, but happy to do it one-on-one if you want to email or phone me. This is if you're an e-commerce site, if you're a gallery or a deli or something selling online. And again, this can really tell you if there's problems within your shopping cart. So for this one, 10,000 odd people entered the shopping cart, 82% went to sign in to buy something, 67% paid money, and all these people converted and bought something, which is pretty good. But if you have a big percentage here who are dropping off after the shopping cart and not signing in, or if you have a big percentage here who kind of had a look at the cart, selected what they want, have gone to the sign-in page but don't buy anything, then I'd be looking at my path and just thinking, is it easy to buy stuff? Is it easy to select stuff? Can they find the information they need? Where are they falling over? Is it the shipping? Is it just they can't find anything, can't find prices, can't find the checkout button? I don't know. But this can be a really good way of alerting you to problems within your actual shopping cart if you're an e-commerce site. So analytics, in summary, can tell you things like who's coming, where are they coming from, so how successful are my efforts in marketing my site being, what else do we know about them, what are they looking at, is it compelling enough, where are the problems or roadblocks in my site that are preventing a sale or a conversion of some kind, and changes that you might need to consider. So a huge amount of really powerful information. As I said, there's a lot of Google little videos on the Google channel on YouTube, training videos that can really help you to get started if you're not familiar with it or have a specific issue. But of course we are also more than happy to help you out too with questions. So that's analytics. If you don't do anything else, if you don't measure anything else, measure analytics. Look at it preferably weekly, once a month. Certainly if you have a campaign in market, look at it after 24, 48 hours to see how it's going. Get to know your site, get to know your analytics, and you'll get a lot more effective. Facebook, of course, many of us are on Facebook, and Facebook Insights, which is the measurement tool you can see when you log into your admin panel to administer the page, will show you a lot of really useful data about your posts and also your visitors. So this is our summary, and it's shown us how many page likes we got, and that's gone up from last week, which is a good thing. If it's going down, then we might need to do something. How many people our posts for the week reached. This is a week, yep, American. And also engagement. And of course, likes, comments, shares means engagement. This is what we want. We don't want our post to sit there and have nothing happen to it, because then it will not last very long in people's news feeds. The more likes, comments, shares you can get for your posts, the better. So this kind of information can tell us what kind of things people are likely to do something with, and maybe give us some ideas for similar or related posts as well. So just looking at that in a little more detail, is our summary up the top here. Our page likes, our post reach, and our engagement, and individual posts. So these are the titles of individual posts that have been put up by this this person, and it shows you the type. So that's text, and that's a photo, and these are all text ones. Who you're targeting, how much reach you got, and more importantly, which were the most successful. And you can see that this one kind of was. These are the number of people that clicked on the post. This is the likes, comments, shares, the engagement. So in terms of clicks, this one for the week was the most successful. In terms of engagement, this one was, but this isn't very high. So I'd be looking to try and get my likes, comments, shares up on each of my posts, doing things like asking questions that people will find easy to answer, saying share if you agree, or share if you like this photo, or what do you think about this, or like to, even have a competition or something. Just try and get your likes, comments, shares up by asking people to do it, basically in an appropriate way. And of course the other thing with Insights is once you've looked at your posts, if there's one that you really need to last a bit longer, you can actually hit the boost button and pay money to give it a longer life. But obviously we really prefer to have that organic kind of engagement rather than having to pay for it all the time. So this kind of information can be really useful in showing you what are people likely to do something with, what's a successful post from that point of view, and give you some clues as to what you could do in the future. I can also show you, as I said, who your visitors are. So we've got some demographics here. This particular site, mostly people between 18 and 34 are likers on this one. A bit of a male skew, which again immediately gives you some clues as to what kind of content might be interesting to some of the people. Not that I'm being sexist here, but that's the reality. And so you wouldn't be posting stuff for very young people or 55 pluses necessarily, unless you wanted to particularly target that audience, of course. So you can say, okay, here's my visitors. What kind of content's going to entice them? Is this who I'm after? Am I actually after the retirement market? In which case I might need to change my strategy a bit. And this is where your likers have come from. So you might get a surprise, or it might be exactly as you expect. I would suspect it would be mostly Australia, but you might find a little pocket of people in Guatemala or somewhere who really like your Facebook page. There's an opportunity for a marketing campaign, being a bit funny, but you know what I mean. This kind of location information can help you with your marketing as well, and your posts content. So in summary, for Facebook metrics, engagement and reach. Engaging as many people as possible, getting likes, comments, shares, increases your reach, and your engagement is what you want in Facebook. So if you are getting popular posts, create similar ones. Obviously not the same post every time. Try and make it interesting. And of course, don't forget to check the comments. Don't just look at your insights, because you might get a lot of stuff happening with a post, but it might all be complaints. So make sure you read them first and make sure they are actually positive comments. And the fans tab will show you a profile of your visitors, which will help you in your content decisions and advertising, and possibly even product decisions if it's relevant. So another one on email marketing. So that's Facebook. Very brief overview of insights there. If you are managing Facebook, have a look at your insights at least weekly if you can. See how your posts are going. Get to know your audience again. See what they're more likely to engage with, and build your strategy around that. If it's not the market you're looking for, then you might have to go back and have a bit of a rethink to try and attract them. So email marketing, all the things that we can measure. Delivery, did my email make it to the inbox? If it's getting a lot of, if you're getting reports back from your email tool that it didn't make it, then perhaps you need to run your content through a spam filter and see if some of the words that you've put in your email are triggering spam filters and it's getting blocked. Open rates of the emails that were delivered, how many were opened, and the key to that obviously is the subject line of the email. So whatever you put in the subject line when you're sending out your emails is going to have a big influence on whether or not your email is opened. So do some research and perhaps do a little bit of testing with a little bit of your database to see what email subject lines work best for you. It might be a question or something that arouses curiosity, or an offer. Experiment a bit, test and learn and measure, and you'll get better at it. Click-through rates of the people that opened my email, how many clicked on something, expressed as a percentage. And if your click-through rate is low, have a look at your subject line and your message. Do they fit each other? Can people find the link? Is it easy to find? Have you only got the one link in your email? I would have lots more than one, because the more links, obviously, the more chance of a click. So these are some of the things you can do once you know your click-through rate. Repeat opens, did people open it more than once? Shows interest. If you're getting a few of those, then that shows people are interested, which is a good thing. How many people forwarded the email to a friend? If you're getting lots of forwards, it shows that it's perhaps the type of content people want to share with each other and discuss with each other, or inform people about, which is not a bad thing. The other really powerful thing I could tell you is when is the best time and the best day to send, to make sure you get the maximum open and click-throughs possible. So we used to find with the holidays one, Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. was the best time. This was some years ago, so I wouldn't automatically assume it's going to be the same, but Tuesday 8 p.m. and we figured it was because Tuesday people are kind of ready to book a holiday, a bit fed up with their jobs and still a long way to the weekend. So, and then it's after dinner and they're a bit relaxed and they're having a look for holidays and can talk to their partner or whatever. Similarly, for a lifestyle one, we found the best time for that was Thursday 11. We don't really know why, but anyway, that used to get the most open, so that's when we sent it. If you subscribe to any business-related emails, you might find they send them out around lunchtime, and I presume the science behind that is they're assuming people are at their desk eating lunch with a bit of time to read an email. So you can experiment a bit with times and days which is the best day and which is the best time of day, and if you can track that in your email tool, then you can work out when to send it, and that can make it much more effective. Bounces, obviously, you don't want to be sending to dead email addresses because it lowers your delivery rate and your reputation. You need to keep your database clean, so if you're getting lots of bounces, then it's probably time to clean up your database and delete those ones that are bouncing. And unsubscribes. If you get a lot of unsubscribes in one post, have a look, try and find out why. It might not be you, it might just be a bad day, but it's worth looking. If you do get a higher than usual unsubscribe metric, think, oh gosh, what happened? Do I need to look at that email? So that's email, and here's an example of one report. This is showing me how many went, so 6,500 people received this email. Of that, 2,000 opened it, so about a bit less than a third. 4,000 did not open it. 305 people clicked through. Unsubscribes 47. Complaints for return investment hasn't been calculated, but it shows me that my unopens are going up here. This is kind of the last. This is the last 2 emails I sent. So I would. Sorry, they're going down. Whoops. So I wouldn't be. I'd be happy about that because obviously they've been making some efforts to get their open rate up. If this is going the other way, if your emails that are unopened are increasing, then I'd be having a good look at what I'm sending and is it interesting and compelling to people, and am I sending it the right day and time. Question. Can I recommend an email system for email marketing, please, which measures all these stats? Yeah, I can't really recommend one because we're not supposed to, but I can suggest a couple. MailChimp is one that will, I think these stats are actually from MailChimp. There's another one called Create and Send. Jodie, I can email these to you. If anyone also wants that, just hit yes in your question box now. She's asked for a system for email marketing which measures all of these stats. So the very simple ones are any kind of commercial email tool. So MailChimp, Create and Send, MadMimi are 3 I know of. There's probably a heap more. If you just Google, okay, someone else wants that. Cool. If you just Google email marketing tools and just have a look at one that you like, they should, and just check that they do measure this and give this to you. This is pretty standard in most email tools that you pay us. They're not expensive. I think it's free up to a point, and then you might pay per send or you might pay a monthly fee, but it's affordable for small business. So they should give you this as a matter of course, and probably more information too. And then you can kind of go on to, depending on how big your database is and how much email you're doing, you might want to try something like a CRM system, a customer relationship management system that has email in it, where you can store all your customer data and set target and send and segment your market, do all that sort of stuff. One of those is Silverpop. I'm sure there's more. But then if you wanted to go to an agency to do it, which is kind of the next step up again, if you didn't want to do your own, then Vision 6 in Brisbane are the email specialist agency, but then there's a number of commercial digital agencies as well that could handle email for you too. So yeah, I will email that to the people that have said yes and the person that asked the question, no problem. I'll have a look at a few for you and send them out this afternoon. Okay. Okay, so another one that can be quite useful, and not all videos have this, but it's worth having a look, is YouTube. If you go to your video channel or someone else's, if you're interested in discovering this, if you look just below the video, so the video is kind of here, there's a little graph kind of icon, and if you click on that, it will give you, at the very least, this information and sometimes this. Now, some video owners, channel owners, do turn this off because they don't want it to be public, but have a look and see what you can discover. And it can tell you, firstly, the views from the video since it was published, that the views have gone up. This is cumulative, so I don't think it ever goes down, but you can at least see the rate at which it's going up, and if it's kind of like this, and it's a really important video, you might want to drive a bit more traffic, and if it's like this, you can go and have a party. So, but yeah, it can give you an idea of visitation. And also first view from ad, first referral from Facebook, so people are, you can tell you whether people are coming through from other social media or other efforts that you put if you've embedded the YouTube video on your site or Facebook or shared it somewhere. It can show you how many comments you got, how many people favorited this video, how many people didn't like it, how many people did like it. This isn't too bad. on YouTube. You're always going to get haters, I'm afraid, but I would still take account of why they didn't like it and why they did like it. Have a look at the comments and just see if you can pick up some useful information. But it also gives you locations from people visiting and also demographics. So this is largely a male audience for this particular vid. So have a look at this information, see if it's available. If it is, it can again give you quite good insights into how successful each video is that you're publishing, and which is not a bad thing. Tiny bit on AdWords now. I don't spend a lot of time on this because it's a whole webinar in itself really, but this is just an example of an AdWords campaign report. So if you are not familiar with AdWords and you are wanting to try this out, this is the kind of report you'll get. What I would do is select your keywords, type your ad, set your budget, let it run for maybe 48 hours, and then have a look at your report. That should be enough to give you some useful figures, but keep looking at it, obviously. So this is how many, the percentage of times the ad was actually served. This is an ad, this is an ad, this is an ad, this is an ad. I've just blocked them because it's confidential. But this is the ads that were served. Of each ad that was served, this is how many clicks each one got. So you can see that in terms of clicks, this second ad here was the most successful for the time period it was up. So this is my click-through rate, which was related to that. So yep, this one's got the highest click-through rate compared to how many times it was served. So if you're looking at CTR, this one was more successful than this because it wasn't served more times, but got less clicks. Sorry, got more clicks, but percentage-wise it's less. Tie myself up in knots here. Another important metric is the average. This is CPC, cost per click. So how much did each click cost you to get? And obviously this is the metric that you want to get as low as possible. Oh, sorry. Because it means you're spending less money to get a click through. Provided that obviously it's also converting. There's no point in getting lovely cheap clicks to your site if no one's actually buying anything. So take it in a measure with your conversion per click as well, which we haven't set up in this one, but you can set it up for yourself and check of the people that click through, how much did it cost me and how many actually bought something. This gives you the ad position. So 2.4 is kind of pretty good up the top there. If it's 7 or 8, then it's kind of down the bottom, which means you might have to look at the wording of your ad, the selection of the keywords, the quality score of your landing page, all those kind of variables to try and get the position of your ad higher up, because obviously the higher up it is, the more chance it will be seen and acted on. Yeah, conversions are all here. So conversion, cost per conversion and conversion rate. And yeah, you can set these up. We hadn't set these up in this particular one because we were really interested in driving traffic. That was our metric. But if you were selling something or trying to get people to go to a booking path or fill in an inquiry form or whatever, you can set this up in AdWords and call that a conversion, and then you can get a really good measure of how successful your whole advertising campaign was from the ads that were shown, the number of clicks you got, how much it all cost you, and what you got in revenue at the end. So very powerful reporting here and very, very useful. Again, there's a heap of videos from Google and many other people on YouTube about this kind of stuff. So if you're a beginner and you're not sure where to start, or you just want to improve your knowledge, by all means go and have a look on YouTube and see what you can find. But of course, more than happy for you to get in touch with us as well if you want help with it. And the main thing to talk about, as I've said, is of clicks to conversion. So of the 100 clicks that I got 20 views and 5 sales. So working out what did each sale cost me, can I get the same number of sales for less by improving my ads wordings, my landing page relevance, my keyword selection, and my daily budget. So these are the variables that you can look at to try and get this up and your cost per click down. Just looking at landing page relevant for a minute, this is a big determiner in how much you pay for each ad. It's called quality score, and when you're sending people from your ad to your website, it's ideal not to send them to the home page if you can possibly avoid it. And the reason for that is it's very hard to convert somebody from a home page. Even if you have a tiny site, it's only 5 or 10 pages, I would still try and send them to what's called a landing page, which is a page on your site that is specifically set up to try and get them to convert. So try not to send them to your homepage if you can. I know that many of us don't have control over our websites and it's quite hard to put up extra pages, but try and have that discussion and make it happen, because you will have much more success in firstly getting conversions, but also it's likely that if you do it well, you will pay less for your ad. So because this quality score gives you a quality score out of 10. So these aren't very high. This particular page didn't have a very high quality score, and largely determines how much you will pay per click here. So you want the highest possible quality score in order to have the lowest possible cost per click. These are the things that affect the quality score. There's 6 or 7 variables. You can Google this yourself. This is just an image on Google. But the main things are relevance to the ad. So what that means is how relevant is the page I'm sending them to the ad wording. And obviously the way to make it relevant is to make the ad and the landing page about the same thing and have the same keywords in there. The history of the keyword, which is a bit unfair if you're only starting, but if you persevere, and also how long the keyword has been used on Google as well. So the longer it's been used, the longer your ad has been up there, the less you'll pay. And to a degree, your budget influences how much you pay, but that's not the only thing. So my advice here, to get your quality score up from 4 or 3, try and get it to 7 or 8 if you can, is to basically look at the page you're sending them to, make sure it matches the ad as much as possible in meaning and intent and content, and ensure that the keywords that you've chosen are in the ad and in your landing page, and that should really help your quality score to improve and make your cost per click go down. So keyword tool, if we're not sure about where to start with keywords, Google will actually help you select them. I've just, and it's, I think, it's still called the AdWords keyword tool. If you can't find it, just Google keyword tool. It will come up, don't worry, in about the first slot. And you just simply type in your keyword. I've used whale watching here, and hit go, and it will start to suggest keywords that you could buy or use in your search engine optimization if you want to do the SEO for free bit, that might be relevant to that particular section. This is based on actual Google search data. It can tell you who else is buying these keywords, if it's high competition, and what kind of volume of searches you can expect, and approximately what you could expect to pay if someone clicks on it. So all very useful information. If you're not sure where to start with AdWords, go to the keyword selector tool, which is Google's, and type in some ideas for keywords and just see what comes up, and have a look at if it's high competition. Obviously if it's high, you're going to pay more than if it's low, and ideally, although it's rarely found, but ideally we want obviously low competition and high volume of searches on that keyword, and it can help you very much select keywords for your advertising campaign. Google Trends is another one I quickly wanted to show you. Again, if you're not sure where to start, if you're not quite at this step yet, you can go to Google Trends first, and it can show you some really interesting data. This again is based on actual Google searches over time, and I've just typed in here wedding and honeymoon. I might just show you live on this one. Oop. There we are. So Google Trends, here we are. So I've typed in weddings here, this is live, and you can see that over time the interest in weddings is dropping over the past since 2005. And I can change these variables to say you can have anything you like here, whatever you like, but I'm going to put past 90 days, and you can see that it's updating in real time. So there was a big spike in January. That's interesting. And I might put honeymoon in to compare weddings and honeymoon, because I'm not quite sure which ones to buy and how to word. And you can see honeymoon gets a lot less volume, but the trends are about the same. So it is, I'll stop it. Let me just turn that off. You can see that mostly the spikes kind of correlate with each other, and the dips kind of correlate with each other too, which suggests to me it might be seasonal. Sunday, February 16, Sunday, February 22. What is that telling us? Where the spikes are on a Sunday. People plan weddings on Sundays, perhaps. Perhaps you could put in an AdWord campaign with the word wedding in it each Sunday and see how you go if you happen to be a wedding venue. I mean, I'm just giving you an example here, but this is how you can use this kind of data to help make you more effective. The other stuff it shows you is things like, this is worldwide. So let me just narrow it down to Australia. I'll see if it's any different. Yep, quite a big drop in honeymoon. People obviously get married but don't have honeymoons, or maybe not. So other stuff it can tell you, apparently nobody gets married in the Northern Territory because the volume of searches is low. Just kidding, and Tasmania, probably just to do with the population more than anything else. But if there were, for example, a really big blue thing here in Victoria for this time, you could perhaps mount a campaign in Victoria. You can kind of drill down here as well. It gives you Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sydney, so it gives you large amount of queries coming from Brisbane and the Gold Coast, which is encouraging for us as tourism operators, provided you have a wedding product. And the other thing it can show you, as I said, if you're not sure where to start, it can suggest related keywords that you can then go back to your keyword tool and type in. So really useful data. Yeah, and you can set these variables up here to country or worldwide, the period of time, past 90 days or up to 4 years, different categories, so hobbies and leisure, people and society, travel, and you can do search the web or images or news or Google Shopping or YouTube. The other thing you can do, if it's relevant, it may not be, is you can switch on news headlines and it will tell you, yeah, here's one, if there's been like a news article. This is all about gay marriage. Okay, so that's why the traffic's spiking. There's been a lot of that in the media lately. Okay, so anyway, Google Trends, very useful tool for getting started with search terms and also for comparing which ones you should buy or optimize for. Social mention, another really useful one. So this is the way that you can track social media conversations. So I, again, have used whale watching as an example, but you could type in product, location, name of your brand, you know, whatever you want to know about. And what it does is it actually brings up in real time conversations and social media posts on that topic. So, yep, here's one I prepared earlier. So I've typed in whale watching here and I've got a tweet, itsy ritzy, with zipper wet bag, whale watching pink. Okay, that's interesting. So you get everything. So you need to do a bit of work kind of filtering this down to see what's relevant. There's a blog post here, Travel and Venture, Old Town Matson has a lively pulse. There's a WordPress blog as well. There's a Facebook, excellent. Humpback whale watching was great, little rough on the water, but I survived 4-foot swells. So you can kind of filter down through here and see what people are saying about this particular topic. If it's you know, you will get everything, so you need to kind of read it all. But it gives you a really good idea of what kind of conversations are happening out there in social media. Of course, once you know what people are saying, you can kind of be more effective at joining in the conversation. If you put your brand in here and there's a lot of complaints, like if I put Telstra in here, I guarantee we would get a huge amount of complaints and profanity and stuff going on. You know, it's a good way of kind of monitoring in real time what people are saying. The other stuff that's really useful is these kind of metrics here. So this one is how strongly people are talking about whale watching at the moment, and I suspect that will go up later in the year when the actual season starts. 17:1 is the ratio of positive to negative, and as you can see, most of these are pretty positive, which is a good thing. If it's around the other way, you might want to have a look at some of the posts and find out why. People are moderately passionate about whale watching, and this is kind of the percentage of the range of influence. So you want to get this as high as possible if you can. Yeah, so positive, neutral, negative. Bearing in mind again that this is done by computers that don't do irony. So someone might have put in something that says, oh, you know, great experience, and actually being sarcastic, and when in fact it wasn't. So again, take this with a grain of salt and do read the comments as well, because it'll tell you exactly what's going on with the people. It can also suggest keywords for you related to the term that you put in, so whale and watching, no surprises there. Whales, people, saved, good, don't. So some ideas, and I would take these and go and test them in the Google AdWords keyword tool. I wouldn't base my whole campaign on what came out from social mention, but it can give you a place to start. The other useful thing that it can give you is top users, and if you find consistently, these are the people that have posted about whale watching, and I'd recommend that you have a look at this over a couple of time periods, and if someone is consistently up here at number 1, they are someone with a loud voice and a lot of followers who are posting a lot about your industry, brand, whatever, you know, keyword you put in there. And if you do find over time that they are consistently up here, then there might be someone that you might want to talk to and perhaps get on side and, you know, make sure they are friendly towards you and make friends with them and that sort of stuff, so that what they're posting is positive about your business, provided it's true, of course. Top hashtags, so if you're on Instagram or Twitter, here's some inspirations for hashtags as well. And platforms, if you're not sure whether you should be on a particular platform or not, this can give you some ideas that most of the posts at the moment, right now, are on Twitter, Friend Feed, YouTube, Delicious, and Photo Bucket, so people posting photos, which isn't surprising. So some good tips there about platforms that you could be on if you're not already on them. But again, I would be wary of making all my decisions on one search because this is only one, and of course trends vary and behaviour varies, and so I would have take a couple of benchmarks if you like, different days, different times, try and get a bit of a picture over time. But this can be very helpful in influencing and helping you make decisions about your social media content and platforms. Oh, sorry, let me go back here. Oh no, just did it again. There we go. And the last one I wanted to show to you today was Wordle, which is I just like it because it's quite cute. And what it does is it takes your copy, your text copy, and it makes this nifty little design thing. I don't know what it's called. It's not actually an infographic, but this little graphic of the words that are on the page. And the bigger the word, the more times that word appears on your page. So if you were wanting to optimise for the words travel insurance, which clearly in this paragraph, this is Air New Zealand, do because they want to rank for travel insurance, they've done it right because you can see travel is the biggest word and insurance is the second biggest, and it occurs twice, upper and lower case. So they have put that word enough times in their page text to rank on Google. Now, the days of keyword stuffing are gone, so if it doesn't come up enormously huge like this, I wouldn't worry. As long as it is reasonably prominent, that will tell you that the copywriting that you've done for this page is probably going to be okay for search engine optimization. Of course, make sure it's readable and usable as well, because we're writing for users as well as search engines. But it can give you some really good tips. And if you put your copy into Wordle and you find that and but and the are the biggest words, then maybe you should go back and have another look at your copy and try and make it a bit more readable. So let's just see a live demo of that one. Wordle. So I've just grabbed some copy from Compare the Market about travel insurance. This is the address is wordle.net, and you just hit create. And it's a very cute little tool. I really like it. And so I've just pasted in some text from one of their travel insurance, from their page titled Travel Insurance Comparison. And then you just hit go. And if you haven't got JavaScript updated like me, hit run this time. And you can see it's given me this little graphic that tells me that, yes, travel insurance are not too bad on this page. I could maybe have a few less bests and a few less provides. Quote might be okay because that might be a search term too. Online might be okay. Haven't got any big these, so I haven't, it's quite good tight copy. But it's a bit of fun, but also you can just take your web page, paste it in there as you just saw me do, just hit create up here. You do another one, yep, put your bunch of text in there and hit go, and it will create that little graphic for you, which is quite a nice quick way of checking if you have written the content to work on Google. Okay, that's kind of it from me today. If anyone still has questions, please do feel free to ask them now. We've just got a couple of minutes left. I'll just go and find my question panel. There we are. Okay, question. If someone else set up your analytics, how do you get login details? You'd need to get their login, Sandy, which would be their Google login, so their Google Gmail and their password for the analytics they set up. You can actually, they can actually make you what's called an admin, so that you can log in with your own email and view the analytics, and that's something that they have to do. If they've set it up, they have control over it. But they could make you an admin and with any email, I think, and you could just log in and have a look at your analytics from there. But if you wanted to actually control the analytics and configure it and do stuff like that, either the person that has the account, which is them, would have to do it, or you'd have to get the account details from them, and it depends on the relationship you have with them. Okay, hope that's helpful. Any other questions at this time? Email the IP address, link to the webinar. Yes, I will, Amanda, no problem. That's fine. I mean, we will be recording this one and it will be up on YouTube. If you just go to the Digital Ready website, we just link to it from there, but I'll certainly email it out to you as well so that you've got it. Is it going to be an AdWords webinar? we will certainly put that into the pot and say there's been an earnest plea from one of our operators on setting up AdWords. Claudia, we did have one last year, but of course it changes all the time, and I'm not sure how relevant it will be now. We'll certainly keep that suggestion in mind, because I do know they are a bit hard to set up and configure and check and things, and obviously most of us had limited budgets and we want to get good at them. Any more questions, anyone? Any more coming through? Feel free to type and send. Nope. Okay, well thanks everyone. I hope this has been useful for you all. As always, we're here to help, so there's additional resources on the TQ website, online booking, yield management and the Wiz. There's the tourism e-kit, the big marketing guide, TQ resource guide, Better Business Centre, and of course our own digital ready material, so do feel free to log on and avail yourself of that at any time. Just a little word on copyright. This is our standard slide. Don't forget that copyright applies online as well as offline. If you don't own or haven't created it, then don't use it. And you need written permission normally to use someone's image or video or copy. Best not to use Google for images. I know it's easy to Google stuff, right-click it and put it in, but get permission first, because ignorance of the law is no defence. You can use, there are stock image media sites that do have photos that are under licence, or you can have a look at Wikimedia Commons. People often put their photos up there and it's okay to use them under whatever conditions they've specified, which is often just kind of an acknowledgement and a link. And you can use that for free, so that's another alternative. Or you can go to iStock or Shutterstock or one of those and actually buy some photos off there, or use your own. Yeah. So coming up, we have webinars if you're new to us every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Coming up next week, working with the web developer. Now this sounds a bit dry, but the people who've done it actually say it's the most useful webinar they have ever seen, because it does give you really good tips and tricks. Firstly, on briefing your developer first up, so that you get the website that you want to get and thought you were going to get, and to preempt any problems that you might have. So we also have how, so if you're planning on reworking your site or changing developers or changing agencies, depending on how you work, do log on and have a listen to that. That'll be me again next week, on tips for working effectively with a web developer and choosing one that you can work with as well. How to deliver great customer service online is coming up after that. TripAdvisor, we are having someone from TripAdvisor to give a webinar and do a workshop with you all about TripAdvisor, so log on and register for that one if you'd like that. And handy search engine optimization tips, I'll be doing that one and give you some tips for optimizing your site to be found easily in Google. There is the link to register. If you would like to, do register. They're all free and you're welcome to register as many people as you like, provided they're tourism operators. Another question, sorry. Just had another question come through, bear with me a sec. Nope, nothing. Great. Okay, so do register for any of these webinars if they're of interest. And don't forget, we have workshops, mentoring, coaching service and webinars to help you. Me, Susan and Mirko, there they are in the photo. Feel free to get in touch with us at any time. There's our phone number, there's our email, there's our website. More than happy to help you with anything digital at any time. Thanks everyone. Thanks for attending today. Thanks for staying with me. And I'll see you again, hopefully. Bye.